Welcome to the Work Podcast. I am your host, Donny Slater, with my beautiful host, Melanie. And as you notice, this is a diet episode. Mike and Sabrina are both working very, very hard in the music industry. This is obviously an honest podcast from people who work in the music industry. So sometimes, people got to work. And that's just what happens. So this is
the Work Podcast.
Right. A special little episode of us giving a little bit of our backstories, I think, as well as talking about shit that's happening in the industry right now. I don't know which order we should go in. Do we talk?
This podcast is based off of your company, so I think you're going to go first.
I hate when y'all do that. Honestly, yeah, if we just talk and just chop the shit, I think for me, I've been saying this every episode, but like week after week, I'm becoming more of a suit. Like, I just had a conversation. Brian was joking, but he was serious about this artist. I wish I could shout him out. He's in Atlanta. He's a cool-ass, like, alternative artist. Cool white guy, like 6 buttons unbuttoning the shirt. He's selling out, like small venues in Atlanta. I wish I could remember his name, but he was shouting him out. He was like, man, you should sign him. And I was like, man, I'm not going to lie. Like, he's got, like, 10,000 monthly listeners, so don't really make sense for me to do nothing. And Brian looked at me, he was like, I don't know who you are anymore. And I was like, bro, I think I'm a suit now. Like, so I'm in this constant transition right now of realizing why the music industry operates the way that it does and going like, oh shit, I'm gonna be part of the problem if I don't adjust some things. And then working on like all of these new deal structures. So it's been a crazy fight.
Yeah, but I think for someone like you, it's kind of like you are really well versed, whether it's like media, like live music, obviously distribution, television, film. Like, those different spaces. So the way that I personally look at it is like, where does it fit?
Yeah.
Right? Like when I was in A&R, like, of course, like I signed artists that like executive produced movie soundtracks and won Grammys. But low key, my favorite thing was like a lot of the artists I signed did colors. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing is like, someone might say, you should sign this person, but I think your mind can work in a way of like, okay, doesn't fit for that one box, but these are other like 20 other boxes that I like manage or, I can point you to.
Right.
So like, that's the way at least I can sleep at night.
Right.
It's kind of like, okay, I can't help you in this way, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, part of me wants to sign every artist I see perform on the subway. Like, every time I get on the subway, I'm like, damn, we should get them a record deal because they want it. Like, that is traditional music industry, A&R, discovery. I was performing on the train, and then Clive Davis or David Geffen or whoever found me, yada, yada, yada. And then the other half of me has just been getting these, like, Luminate reports and research reports from the A&R research team. And I'm like, sign whatever is growing 20% week over week in revenue. So, and then also looking at the film industry. Like, we're in a new state in the music industry. We're in a new state in the film industry. What type of deals do we need to do? And we've been throwing around, Jacob and me have been throwing around these like first dollar gross deals, which don't exist in music right now. Like, when you take an advance, that's it. And now we're like, oh, what if we can give an artist a signing bonus or a budget, but then also as soon as royalties come in, give them maybe like 10%, but they get like an actual royalty check. And that's what's kind of making it easier for me to go to sleep at night. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. How has life been for you?
I mean, I've been like having my hands in like 4 different pots. Interesting. It's like I have my day job, which I've been doing for a couple years now, which is like cool because I get to, work with the biggest artists in the music industry and the distributors and the labels. And then I have blurred lines, and I'm in this interesting point of like, okay, we started as a community in 2020. I'm trying to make it a product. And I just started this like kind of boot camp type of thing that every week there's like maybe between 1 and 4 like sessions to learn about a new product or to have a co-working, like a group working session. And I'm using it for blurred lines, and then also the project that I pitched it for, which is like this like fashion app too. So it's been cool, kind of like being in this kind of Zoom boot camp with people around the world. Yeah, and then speaking a lot. Yeah, or like kind of mentorship things. Like I spoke at Princeton like about a month ago or so. a little over a week ago, I spoke at, well, not really spoke, but I did this cool thing at NYU for the graduates. And every year they have music executives come in and, we talk to them for 20 minutes and then we watch their presentations of their PowerPoints and all this type of stuff. And they can ask us anything, we're being honest. And I'm speaking at New York Music Month, doing a panel actually with Mike next month. So it's
That's what
been
he
cool.
was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
When is that?
I think it's like maybe insert here. No.
Yeah.
It's early June.
Okay, tight.
But yeah, I'm excited because it's cool to like do things in the academic space, in the music industry space. And some it's just like me just listening to people. Yeah. And then the Princeton thing was like literally a blockchain conference. So
I was gonna ask you how that went. Like, how did it feel?
It was cool. I mean, like it was maybe 2 years ago I went to Afrotech. I've been to Afrotech a couple of times. After our panel was over, I knew a couple people in the panel. And I just spoke to people, and I met this great guy, ironically a white guy. I met at Afropunk. I'm not Afropunk, Afrotech.
Yeah.
Hey. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to the people.
Gotta love a white savior.
I'm not going to say that at all. But I'm just going to say I have a lot of respect for white people who go in black spaces.
Me too.
I have a lot of respect for men that go in women's spaces. You know what I mean? Because at least in my experience, usually they're there for a reason to like support their peers or to hopefully meet someone and support them. And this is who this guy's been like for me. Mike, another Mike. Yeah. And like he's just a good dude. And like he started working at Princeton and he runs like their D Center, which is focused on like decentralization. And it was an interesting space because once again, these are like technical, like this is the engineering department in Princeton. And the closest thing to engineering I can do is vibe coding. Right. And back in the day on MySpace, making like my name sparkly and pink,
and picking your top 10, top 8.
Exactly. Coding it. So it was a cool environment because I was on the applications panel and like literally someone at OY and someone at like a big hedge fund. And my perspective is like, how do you use this emerging technology to solve real world problems? Yep. And not just in the concept of decentralized finance. Right. And like how what I'm doing for Blurred Lines, but just in general, like I really think there's a way of where you show up in physical spaces, we can find better ways to document that and give people like access and support based on what they're doing. So if I'm showing up to Wire Festival in Brooklyn and I'm showing up to All Points East Festival in London, like that's a track record. I'm a certain type of person. Right. How do I make sure that I'm on the guest list for another festival or another concert? Or like when I was speaking at NYU, I met this like brilliant young student who's like, oh, I'm post-Aquarians. And like, I just interviewed Bilal. I'm like, okay, girl. Right. Like,
how do you network? For context, I went to, we did, and I love when you remind me to tell the audience, right? So Music Biz Week, which you know about. Yeah. But Music Biz Week is like
tell us about that.
Yeah, man.
Because you went, I didn't go.
Oh, my fucking God.
Controversial year. It moved to Atlanta.
Controversial year. I don't even want to get into the politics of the shit, bro. But like, we did these ancillary events. So Music Biz, for the audience, Music Biz conference is like one of the biggest conferences in music in the U.S. Spotify sponsors it. SoundCloud sponsors it. The MLC sponsors it. Sound Exchange. Everybody, every company that's anything sponsors this fucking conference. There's panels, there's workshops, there's seminars. People launch new products. People talk about new music tech apps. It's a very, very important conference. So most of our team flew out there. The conference is from like 8 in the morning until like 5, 6 o'clock. So we did all of these events after the main conference. From like 6, 7 o'clock to like 10 o'clock. So we did like a dinner, we did a showcase, and then we did like a farewell cookout. But I went to the conference beforehand. So the question was like, how do you network? And I feel like young people listening to this should like get this information from you because you're great at that shit. I've seen you just connect with people.
How I know you. How I know you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't do that shit well. Like I'm a general manager, but I'm like a spreadsheet warrior, template creator, pitch deck creator, creative communicator, but I am not a fucking networker. And I went to this Music Biz conference and I was just like in a corner just talking to the people that I knew and was like, why am I here? So for you, what are your hacks?
Because like Music Biz is like my summer camp. Like I was like, this year, I was like, are you going? I'm like, no, like I go every year. Like, that's like,
And you so good at that same shit. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I literally thought about you. Literally, I was like, damn, how would she
I was like, I'm
approach
glad you didn't
this
text me. I'm like, I was like, if I get another text, like, I'm trying to be a city girl. Who's going to fly me out?
What are your strategies? Like, how do you network?
I mean, to me, I think versus like, I never define myself based on my place of employment. And even back when I was an artist manager, like a decade ago, I didn't define myself based on my artists. And when people try to do that, I quickly pivot because that limits a conversation. And I think that's the first part of networking because everyone doesn't come from the same background as you. Not like beyond age, race, demographics, stuff like that. But like, they don't know about emerging hip hop or whatever.
Right.
Create that middle point that you can both talk about and just stay there.
Right.
Because if someone's just talking to you and they're only trying to talk from like what they think is your frame of reference, is going to get awkward or go really short. So I think that's the first thing I would say networking. Just like meet people, get their gist, and kind of find that middle ground, but not anchor it on your job or, you know, who you are.
This is how I know you're too good at what you do, because you getting to the point where people, like, you're talking to somebody. I'm not. I don't, like, when do you, like, when I go out, like, even when I go out, the homies will tell you, I never, like, approach shorties. That's never been my thing. I had the homie that was like, I'm batting 10-1. Like, I talk to 10. If I get 2, then it's good. Like, I always was like, man, that's crazy as hell.
You give the eye. You're like,
Yeah, I'm just a cool time. Like, I wear some cool shit or, like, a talking point. Like, the girl that's like, oh, I like your hat. That's Original Funny. I'm like, oh, what's up? Your shoes are tight. Those are Aqua 8s or whatever. And then that's who I'm rocking with. Other than that, bro, I'm not. Or I'm dancing. Like, I'm just myself. Like, I just exist. Oh, I really like this song. I'm rapping Kendrick bar for bar, and then the girl's rapping Kendrick bar for bar, and I'm like, oh, that's my girlfriend. But like in general,
like Netflix, are you hearing this? This is like, you know, what's the TV show? Love. What's the new show everyone's talking
Forever?
about? Forever.
Yes.
Season 2. It got renewed.
Yes. Yes.
Add them to the writer's room.
Facts.
But I mean,
but how do you approach? That's my point. How do you even approach somebody to get to the point that you don't center it around the genre that you're in or the career that you're in? Like, literally, when you go up to people, what is your strategy on just introducing yourself?
Because the joke is like, I'm shy. That's the joke. Like, and like everyone's like, what? And then people who really know me like, oh, actually, you really are. So I think if I do know one person in the room, I'll like hang out with a person. If I don't, I'll like just kind of like awkwardly find a group and like kind of hover. And then like listen, smile, nod. And then if there's something that's like relevant but not personal, I'll like hop in and then back out and then catch their vibe. And if they're like vibes are off, then I'll be like, next. But I guess that's kind of it.
There we go.
Because some people's vibes are off. They're like, oh my gosh, he doesn't go here, you know. So,
exactly. No, that's 100% my shit. Literally, I was in there, and I'm just blessed that I was with Submit from Slingshot. Like, I knew him, and he was sponsoring one of the events. So we were like both there, awkward. Like, we both were just sitting there like, why are we here? Like, we could just host the dinner and just go to the dinner. And then that led to me seeing Rahila from SoundCloud and then blah, blah, blah. And then it was like 6 of us talking. But other than that, like, I would have never in my life talked to anybody. So anyways.
But I prefer dinners. Dinners, yes. I wish I got invited to more dinners. Like a long table, because you kind of sit down. And as soon as you sit down, that sets the tone of like, oh my God, hi. You have to introduce yourself.
Exactly.
And then, or sometimes like you might have to move at a certain point, but I prefer dinners. And then, but like, once again, I show up. Like, that's that's my like MO. If you knows anything about me, like 8 times out of 10, if it's not like artists I never heard of event, I show up. Yeah. I'm really, really, really good at that.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of it too, because if you keep on showing up in certain spaces, eventually you'll see people's faces. And I'm going to say faces because I'm horrible at names.
Right, yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of bad at faces sometimes too. But don't remember my face. Because, you know,
right.
Because usually not that many Black women in the room.
Asterisk.
You know, I'm like, sometimes people, I'm like, come on, you don't remember me? Like,
right. No, they're definitely pointing at you for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did Music Biz Week. It was long. It was cool. It was fun.
What was your favorite part?
This is gonna sound like super like
my event
bullshit. Well, I mean, yes, our events by far, but I think for me, it was seeing our team. It was two things. One, Key is in Europe right now with Anastasia because she's on tour. And there was a point when Key and I were talking about this where Key was a little worried to do events without her being there. It was 3 days of events. She was only there for one. So there was a genuine like fear, anxiety, pressure for her as a CEO to step into like...
Because she spoke, right?
Yeah, she spoke.
Yeah.
She did a panel with Natalie, with Jason Jeter, with Dina, with Brandy. And that panel went great. It was around mental health. And then she flew out because that was the next day. So she was worried about that. And there was a point where I could tell she realized that our team had it handled. And I like could hear the relief in her just being like, oh, this whole thing happened in the name of Third and Hayden. And I'm in Europe working on a whole other project in the name of Third and Hayden. And this is how we can grow. So that was one of the like biggest things I enjoyed about the whole shit. And then two was seeing the team. Like our team is spread out across LA. We've got Chelsea and Sydney in LA. We've got Guate and Kyle and Key in Atlanta. We got me and Jacob up here in New York. And then we have like contractors and subcontractors in different places. So building a boutique label remotely is like the hardest shit in the world. Like building Def Jam off Zoom. And this was the first time that I think we all got together and like really build synergy and really like pick up on everybody's like little quirks instead of just like messaging in Slack or like texting each other or calling each other on the phone.
Did you get to do like a dinner or anything like that?
We did a dinner, yeah.
That's
The first night we did a dinner. We created this, the team created this game that we do called Architects and Builders, where we get a box of Legos. Key's like obsessed with Legos. So we take the Legos out the box. One person is the architect, so they take the instructions and they put their back to the other person's back.
Oh, that's cute.
And then the builder has to just listen to the instructions on how to make the thing. So we did that with everybody at the dinner. There was like 40 people. It was a wide range. Mike was there. Mike on the podcast, from the podcast was there. So he brought out like a bunch of like tech CEOs and like AI founders. We had like A&Rs come. We had my boy Tavar from the Orchard pull up.
Oh, I love him. He's really sweet.
Yeah, Yaz from Amazon that manages like DC, the Don and all of them. So it was a super diverse group of people, and we sat everybody, like we picked the seats, so everybody had to sit next to people they didn't know. So I think that was probably my favorite part. And then the cookout too. We did a cookout at Atlanta Worldwide Camera Company, which is Motion Family's like new camera shop that they did, production company.
Is that your idea?
The cookout was for sure my idea.
The camera,
those are like
the camera
OGs.
place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are my OGs. And seeing the whole city come out for that, like I think Atlanta is just in this weird. Atlanta's in this weird place right now, culturally and musically, where it's like the Braves moved to Marietta. So you got that presence
Not
there.
Atlanta.
Exactly. Literally.
Shout out to Amaretta.
Facts. You got that presence out there. And then we're in like the post-Thug era. Like musically, like black music in Atlanta is like in the post-Young Thug era. And I liken it to like post-Gucci Mane. And if you remember when Gucci Mane got locked up, calling him Gucci Mane is crazy because nobody says that shit like that. But when Gucci got locked up, that's really what created the like Edgewood scene, which for people who don't know, that's like McConan, Fat Man Key, OG Macko, 21 Savage, Man Savage, Quentin Miller, Coolest Mac, Uzi, Yachty, Playboy Cardi, all of them came up under that like Edgewood alternative Atlanta scene. But that was really just because Gucci got locked up.
Yeah, because that's like the generation I'm in.
Which generation?
That generation.
The like blog era Atlanta.
Yeah, just because like you know, it was like fathers like Liquor's Cabinet and like Morian and all those people. I was like right out of college living in Nashville, and I would manage an artist and we'll do shows in Atlanta and we'll do shows in Nashville.
Yep.
And all of them used to come up to Nashville to support him.
Yep.
And it was kind of like me seeing this before it became like, from my perspective, a national thing. It was like, oh, these are the people in Atlanta that get the alternative scene that we're building in, you know, Chicago, where I'm originally from. And then my peers in Nashville who like supported me, like, okay, these are people that these Atlanta guys can just pull up. After the show, they're just going to go to someone's house and just cook up
Yep.
until like it's early in the morning.
Everybody's going to Sunny Digital House back then.
Yeah.
Metro, Childish Major, like it was a handful of that. So Atlanta, I'm saying that to say, Atlanta, to me, when I look at it, is in that same, all the ingredients are there for like another alternative wave of music to be created, because Thug went to jail, YSL goes to jail,
Yeah.
Trouble gets killed, Takeoff gets killed. Like it's all these different things that happen to Atlanta in like a 2-year time span where it's been this weird shift. So you see like Baby Kia, Nine Vicious, like that shit's happening, that's tight. And then it's like these alternative little crews and movements. Anwar in Atlanta's got a movement called Lotus Rosary that does like showcases and live events. He's selling out like 600, 700 person concerts of artists you never heard of, but these young kids are just going out there. Deja has a platform called Beats and Ballets. India Shawn just performed at. She just sold out center stage.
I just got an email about her today and I got super excited.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's like, but it's all these like super high taste, like 22 to like 26-year-olds that love like alternative shit, and they're creating these like little hubs. So I say that to say us doing the showcase and us seeing Destiny, Brianna, Corinne, and Ben Riley, and the other artists that are friends with them, Surf and like Deontay Hitchcock and like all these other different artists that came to support, and that were around Will Hill and all of them just pulling up. It was like, oh man, Atlanta's in this very interesting spot. And I want to spend a little bit more energy and time figuring out how we cultivate and create that like alternative moment.
I know we have a lot of things to talk about, but one more question I have about that is, say music business has been in Nashville for a long time.
Yeah.
The team is based in Nashville. I used to live in Nashville for 3 years. And I moved there because like it is a music business city.
Right.
Like it helped my parents understand the music business because you're driving down the street and you see the ASCAP office.
Fucking Music Row,
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like when I had my first internships, I was working on Music Row. Like to me, like I always joke, like I'll be at a bar in East Nashville and a guy would hit on you being like, yeah, I got some cuts on Reba McEntire's Megan Maroney's album. Like that's how people hit on you.
Small
you know?
talk at a bar.
Hey, it's Nashville.
Yeah, I'm saying Nashville
you know what I mean?
is lit.
Here, people talking about internet, Instagram type of stuff. It's very, very different, right?
Right.
And I say that like it was impossible not to understand like the proper like industry side of the music biz if you're in Nashville. It's like if you literally have to be like your head in the sand not to see it. And obviously like it allowed me to go to conferences that exist in Nashville. By having music biz in Nashville in Atlanta for the first time, do you think it helped expose people to something new? Or do you think it was kind of a case of like, okay, this is something new, but we already are good? Do you think it opened up people's eyes? Like, you know, because that was an intentional shift.
On whose part?
The people who are based in Nashville. I mean, people who are based in Atlanta.
Do I think it opened their eyes?
Yeah, like, I mean, it might be a company, it might be a talk or anything.
No, I think that was why Mike and me wanted to put these events together, was because, one, they did the event in Vinings, which is not Atlanta at all. It's like a 45-minute hour drive out of the city.
Oh, really out there?
Yeah, no, it's out the way. It's going to like the deepest parts of Jersey.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a perfect comparison. Okay,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that was just off-putting to us in the first place, and that's why we wanted to do it. And Mike's been to Atlanta with me. So when Mike saw where it was at, he was like, I don't think that's where you took me. Like that doesn't feel like the texture of what you kind of brought me around. So all our events were in proper Atlanta. Two, I don't think they knew who to partner with community-wise. And obviously Key did a panel. We worked with Music Biz on some of it. But I definitely think a lot of people came to us at the end of that week and they were like, we didn't even know this conference was happening.
Okay.
Like, we didn't even know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In Nashville, everybody
cooking.
knows, right? Because like you just said, Nashville is a music biz city. Music biz has a presence in Nashville. I've gone and seen it in Nashville. So it's like, oh, okay. Seeing it happen here was like almost like a secret meeting.
Got it.
To Atlanta.
Got it.
I didn't feel like LVRN was necessarily brought in the way that they should have been brought in. And maybe who knows who they called and who they didn't call. Shaka did events at the Gathering Spot. I think Coach was a part of that. But like just as far as what Atlanta is to music and to the music industry and what music biz is to the music industry, this did not feel like the moment. that it should have been. And it was a huge moment, right? This is the first year that they did it. So to me, they should have kicked it off with a bang. I think we winded up benefiting from that because we used the audience that was at Music Biz to say, okay, we're speaking here, we got a panel here, we're a part of Music Biz, but we're doing all these cool ass events that you can come to in Atlanta. And we created like a little unofficial guidebook that D1 Valdez did all the photography for. It's like 140 pages, all the restaurants and shops and all this other stuff that we gave people at the dinner for them to really see the real Atlanta. But why would Music Biz not create kind of like a guide to Atlanta? Why would they not host some of the events and some of the bashes at these beautiful places? And Atlanta, Live Nation is investing in this $5 billion project right now to invest in downtown Atlanta and just revitalize the whole downtown Atlanta. So it's like, for us, I think we were a little weirded out by how that went. I think that next year, if they plan to bring it back to Atlanta, they should definitely think about partnering better with community leaders, particularly in music. And thinking about just doing the event in Atlanta. Like, I think that in itself, working with the AUC, Clark Atlanta Spelman Morehouse, working with Georgia State, working with SCAD. Like, there's a ton of young people in Atlanta that want to work in music, that work in music. Cortez has Culture Lab right out there, which is a huge facility that, like, literally hosts these types of events. Live Nation's office is in the heart of the city, near Ponce City Market. So, yeah, it was just... I think it's exactly what this podcast, what we talk about all the time, of culture and then institution not understanding culture and not understanding exactly how to bridge that gap.
You said Live Nation. Like, I think part of it is like, I consider the gathering spot a business, especially the people who are members, So I think it's business too. I think like Live Nation maybe is a business rooted in culture, some would say. But I think you all made a great start. And hopefully...
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing it, like the guidebook, that's what really blew me away.
Yeah, I gotta get you one, by the way, too.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think it's just important to, even if the situation's like that and that's how it's laid out, it's important to still try your best, and it seems like that's what you all did.
Yeah.
So going into next year, hopefully they'll invest in you more. And if not, if it's still in the Atlanta area, like, keep on doing you, because that's the thing. It's like, it's about who you're pointing to. And hey, the same way, like, I have friends that came from that organization to having their own company, Jump Global, that might be the sign of like, hey, maybe you got to make your own conference in proper Atlanta, because it's like, they're going to do them, and it's not, they might do what they want to do and it can serve their purpose. Right. But if you want to serve another purpose, it's not the same thing. 2026, 2027,
1,000%.
So whatever happens, I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, I think we just gotta, on our end, literally Third and Hayden's end. I think, and we're working on this now, but I think it's just figuring out how we can help with really integrating Music Biz into the fabric of the city next year, and what that even means, what that looks like, and how you do that in like a way that benefits everybody. So we're working on that. We're thinking through that. But that brings me, because we're talking about like this community stuff. And it made me think about the All-American Rejects tweet that went out around these house shows. Do you want to speak on it?
Yeah, I mean, as the resident, alt emo kid on the panel, it's really cool. Basically, All-American Rejects, iconic 2000s, teen pop punk band. They're doing this cool thing that literally have a form that you fill out, and they'll come to your city like Columbia, Missouri,
Which is crazy.
Do a house show. And it literally, you think about those like 90s, 2000s movies, and you have like that band that's performing in the backyard by the pool. They're literally giving that energy.
What was that movie? Not Another Teen Movie?
Yeah,
shit,
exactly.
Like
all that type of stuff. Like, oh no, he got pushed in the pool.
Exactly, yeah.
Like the videos literally look like that. Like, it's like they have reports like, oh my God, the cops got called. Like, it's not the same as they're playing this venue in a major city. And they've been doing it for a little bit, and honestly, many of the big publications haven't even been covering it. It truly feels grassroots. Like, local publications are covering it, and a couple TikToks went viral of people at these events, and someone that I know from like the tech community somehow posted about it, and it went viral. And everyone's kind of talking about this concept of what happens when maybe you want to call it a legacy group, decides to do something, has a grassroots feel, and a way of working directly with their fans without a middleman in between. And a big thing with their messaging is about, we know stadium tours are expensive, like whether they're playing a music festival or just Ticketmaster and ticket fees. Let's create a cheap experience for the people who actually still care about them or want to learn about them to engage with their music and bring back in-person experiences. So it really struck me because I'm really excited about like what I consider an innovative, whether it's happening for the first time or happening for the first time with a certain level artist.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I saw it, you know, I damn near shed a tear because I think we can pull episodes, maybe episode 1 or 2, where I talked about artists spending all this time complaining about Spotify and streaming platforms versus going out there like Master P and just selling CDs out the trunk. I look at this as like that exact same thing. Granted, and we'll talk about LaRussell's tweet in a minute, but they are a bigger act that has like an audience. So there's like that like asterisk on it. But still, it's like, man, doing the legwork to actually go connect with fans, with people, and perform your music in front of an actual audience is the point. Spotify cannot stop you. Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon, YouTube, none of these companies, SoundCloud, whatever, can stop you from going to a house, renting a house out, and getting 100 people, 200 people, 50 people in a room and showing them that your music actually connects. So I think for me, one, bravo, All American Rejects, which I just know the name. I wasn't really listening to that shit growing up. But I know the name. I know what they mean to culture. And just seeing them do that, I think, was crazy.
Before you do the next point,
I wasn't going to move to the next point, but go ahead.
Well, I want to talk about LaRussell. Another thing that stuck out to me because literally the job that brought me out here was Anheuser-Busch. And ironically, a concept that I pitched, and they execute it. I'm not going to say they're related, but I'm just going to say that. But it was a dive bar tour. And at dive bars across America have artists. And at the time I was like, 1975 wasn't playing like Madison Square Garden. So I was like, imagine if the 1975 were playing at, I don't know, insert favorite Lower East Side dive bar. Things like that.
Yeah.
And
pianos.
It launched, perfect. And it launched with Lady Gaga. And it's cool to see these things happen, and it doesn't have to be part of a brand campaign.
Right.
Because it would have been one thing if it happened once, and it's like, oh my God, this is some crazy DIY vibe thing. And then it's like, sponsored by Converse.
Right,
and it's like, no, this is truly DIY. This is like, Johnny's filling out a form, and their, agent, manager sees it, and they're doing it. And I think that's really interesting too, because I think it's easy to kind of get stuck in that cycle of like, okay, it only can happen if, the label runs it or if a brand sponsors it. But like, you can get scrappy and try to do things too. It might not, you might not be All American Rejects, but I think there's independent artists who can do that as well.
1,000%. That was what I was going to say as the second point is like, man, new independent artists take note, right? Like, obviously, like I said, it's All American Rejects. They have a fan base. They have hit records, but the point that they're making is like, we will still go to the trenches and go do the work. And it's like, bro, if you are an alt band, an alt rapper, hip hop, whatever you are, because I think the only other scene that I see do this is like street rap. Like street rap, if you see Belly Gang Cushington right now, like I'm really fucking with everything I see coming from Belly Gang Cushington. He's hitting
with the
t-shirts. Yeah, he's hitting Huntsville, Alabama and selling $100 white t-shirts. It's like he's hitting New York doing his press runs and doing everything else, but he's hitting Huntsville, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, Warner Robins, Georgia. Like he's hitting these hole-in-the-wall spots and rocking out 100 and 150 person rooms. I think it's the alternative kids, the alternative scenes, the ones with the taste, quote unquote, that want to blame a DSP more than they want to just tap in and do the legwork. So it's like, man, take notes, find, 2 or 3 dive bars, like you just said, or 2 or 3 college campuses around your region, and go rock out. Like if your music is really tight, go prove that it's tight and really take that moment and do that. Which now brings me to LaRussell's tweet, which I don't actually have the exact quote of the tweet, but LaRussell's main point was, I've been doing backyard shows my whole fucking career. Nobody was making noise and hoopla about this. What's going on with y'all loving All American Rejects doing it? I feel like he's validated. I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, I think it's, like All American Rejects is not a band that like defines my childhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think his like feelings are valid, and I think is a difference between when something's like consider like a generational artist, like not based off of like talent, something general, but like truly like I can walk into a random bar and talk to a random person and say we both love All American Rejects, any bar in America, right? Probably find one person in the room. And I think it's just like it's different, you know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things is like it's harder to expect the same level of virality when you're comparing yourself to someone that's like, once again, a generational artist. Like, for example, like Jonas Brothers did things at Joe's Pizza in New York. Someone else might have done something at a pizza shop too, but like Jonas Brothers are a generational artist to the generation below me.
So walk me through how you feel, because we were talking about this off camera. With the James Blake and Indify situation, you were like, it's tight that James Blake did it, but it's James Blake. He used the major label system. Now he's on Indify. Why is that big news? And now we have All American Rejects doing basically the exact same thing that LaRussell has been doing for the last 2, 3, 4 years. And the point of that is he's valid in his feelings, but this is All American Rejects, and this should be a big deal. Like, why do you feel like those two things are different? Because in my mind, and granted, I just gave All American Rejects a lot of props, but it's like, they're All American Rejects. Like, LaRussell doing this shit is actually the bigger feat than an artist, James Blake level artist, going on Indify, or an All American Rejects level artist going on like a house party run.
I think they both should be talked about. I think it's just gonna be different platforms, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a different lens, right? Like, legit, the idea that, you know, you can connect. For example, if Omarion did it, I was like, oh my God, Omarion did it. Like, to me, Omarion, All American Rejects, that's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Hit his little dance.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that little stupid
like,
shit
I'll do the
did?
icebox dance in front of, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna go to South Holland, Illinois. You know what I mean?
Right.
I respond the same way too.
Right.
And I think, like, I come up, like, from the, like, legit, the first artists I worked with, we were playing shows in Midland, Texas.
Yeah.
You know, we were like, you know, we were going to these random different spots to do shows. Like, I come up from it.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, it may be just my point of view, because I love James Blake so much and I like All American Rejects. But to me, I think it's just different when it's like, I think DIY, quote unquote, tech or direct to consumer technology, I don't put in the same bubble as like grassroots, like touring. To me, I don't know, maybe like it's like where I come up, to me, I don't put them in the same bucket.
Right.
Because I think it's like, I think it's the idea of, I don't know, it's like when you're touring, you really like thugging it sometimes, right?
Sure, yeah. Sleeping
and
on
I'm
couches,
not saying,
all
of
that,
course, I'm friends with like a bunch of tech founders. I'm a tech founder, right? So it's hard, but like when you're doing DIY touring, it's a different hustle. And to me, I just can't compare it with the direct-to-fan type of technology.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they just are very different business models because, once again, I come from the NFT scene.
Right.
So I saw a bunch of people being like, I'm famous by my NFT to me. And I remember that from a couple of years ago. That's very different than those people went face to face with these people because they were from the comfort of their home.
Right.
In the pandemic.
Right.
Support me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to send you a push notification text message versus physically doing it. So I think LaRussell does deserve props, but, you know, I think it's just different because, like, he is killing it, but, like, he has not, like, he's on his way, but I don't think he's a generation-defining artist yet. Therefore, the attention and things that are going to, it's just going to be different.
Got it. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm kind of responding to your point and responding to his tweet. When I saw LaRussell's tweet, it made me think about when Nipsey did the $100 mixtape. And then when he did the Smart Store, and then the NBA did the Smart Jerseys. And I don't know if you know the context around this or if the audience does.
I don't know the NBA one. No, I don't.
So Nip worked with Idris, this like young black tech genius, prodigy, on developing this technology where you could scan the barcode of Marathon clothing merch, or you could scan any area that they deemed like readable. and he could put exclusive content on that. So you could like go in your dirty clothes bin, pull out a Marathon t-shirt, scan the tag, and then it'll take you to like a secret Nipsey video or whatever. About 6 months later, the NBA did that exact same thing with jerseys. So you could go buy like a LeBron jersey, and then you would scan the jersey, and then it would take you to like a secret interview with LeBron or whatever. But nobody said anything about it at the NBA. Nobody talked about it. And then Nipsey wound up kind of making like a very, very light just reference to like, yeah, we did it, and then the NBA did it. When I saw LaRussell's tweet, it was like, you know what, man? He's not a generational defining artist yet, but I do think that his business model, and I think what his point was that his approach in this climate, his business model, where it was just him and his team out in Oakland, out in San Francisco, out, and I might be messing up bro's region. It might be Vallejo. I might be fucking it up. It's Vallejo? Yeah, his team in Vallejo, shout out to Wolf, our fact checker. His team out of Vallejo, they were putting this whole movement together, brick by brick, fan by fan, in his folks' backyard, like his parents' backyard. And he's been taking all of his money and reinvesting it into building out this pergola and doing these shows that now Juvenile has come and done shows. I think Too Short came out and did like a show there. Like he's done real live concerts at this pergola in the back of his parents' home with 100, 200, 300, 500 people, making thousands of dollars, and then building out a database online using Even before it was a public platform, and doing these pay what you want models to build out his whole enterprise. So I think for him, I empathize with him a lot, because it was like, man, you probably are responsible for this, because it's so many people that I know that work at labels that see it, and they may not know the music, but they know the approach and they know the business model, that it's arguable, you could argue that it may have been somebody in an office that even told All American Rejects to go do this shit because they saw LaRussell. Yeah. But nobody's ever gonna say, oh, we saw what LaRussell did, it was inspiring and it made us want to go back to what we knew, or it made us want to go back to the traditional thing. So I think for him, I felt where he was coming from a sense of like, man, this is another moment where somebody's creating a blueprint, Nipsey, now LaRussell, Jay before that, Master P before that, so forth and so on, Jay Prince, whoever, Currency, where the blueprint is being laid out, the blueprint is being studied, the blueprint is being used, kind of like the Anheuser-Busch dive bar shit, but we're never going to give credit to where it came from, nor are we going to like fund and support it when it comes from the person, so he can go become a generational talent.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I think few people would argue against me when it comes to the current generation of music. I think if you had a timeline with Nipsey and all these other people, I think you could put LaRussell in terms of like the few people who are truly like technology, like Ryan Leslie, all these people. Like I think few people would not put LaRussell in that timeline. And I think, I just hope that he keeps that in mind. And like kind of going back to the whole like grassroots shows versus tech thing, just because a more popular band does it, doesn't mean that he can't keep on doing it. And I'll say this as part two. The Google I.O. event just happened, and there's an app I've been using for several months. I think it's out of beta now. I think it's in the App Store called Doji, D-O-J-I. Cool app. Basically, you take a few photos of yourself, and it's like AI clothing. Like it's like, I'm going to wear a Coperni dress. I'm going to wear,
that
Kid
shit
Super.
exists now?
Part one, right? So that I've been using that for a few months. I'm having literally, like, I'll put it this way. After Kendrick performed at the Super Bowl, I like found like the Celine pants he wore and something, and I put on my little AI self. I was having fun.
That's why we in the future, they about to kill us. Oh my God.
So this was with Doji, independent developers, just got raised. What's his name? The brilliant Reddit guy. Lexus, investor, all these people raised, I think, 15 or 17 million. This week, it was Google I.O. just happened. What did they just launch?
AI clothing, mask.
Take a few photos. They have a bunch of clothes, and then and that kind of startup community was all like, oh my God, there's Doji and these, other platforms. But my thing is like, I just use the example about what I personally did after Kendrick performed at the Super Bowl. Like, I've talked to the founders. I'm like, hey, it's Met Gala's happening, it's Paris Fashion Week. Like, you can lean into these different moments, right?
Yeah.
But still, despite them raising these millions of dollars, Google just did the same technology. And like, hopefully what they're doing will not be obsolete. You know, when it comes to like grassroots, person to person types of things, like, you know about this technology because I'm talking to you right now. Right. Like, it's, you know, I think that LaRussell, not that I know he's gonna be great because I still put them in different categories. Like, I feel like I only use one. You know, I use Partyful. I don't use other events platforms like that. You know, I use Instagram. I don't upload my photos anywhere else. You know, like it's sometimes people only pick one unless you're like a super techie. When it comes to like the brilliance of someone like LaRussell and the way he's, you know, becoming the face of a platform like Even and we said the Pergola. The Pergola, like all this type of stuff, like this, he's gonna keep on doing innovative things and he's keep on gonna continue to do what he's doing now. LaRussell's gonna keep on being great. It's different than if he like made an app and then Amazon, Google, you know, Meta try to replicate it.
Know about that one. I
get it. We could think different, but
my
like
closing thought on it, because we about to wrap up. But I love the Doji. I'm saying it right. The Doji Google analogy. I think LaRussell's frustration in his tweet was like, where the fuck is the 17 million? You feel me? It's like Doji gets to do what they do. They raise 17 million. Google goes and copies it. That's fucked up. LaRussell's doing this shit with his money. Ain't nobody coming in with a cool 10 million to say, yo, LaRussell, let's see how you could go do this in New York, Atlanta, Houston, Miami, Chicago, Dallas, and London. We believe in what you're doing. We see what you're trying to do. Here's how we'll do the business. Here's how we make sure you still own it. You and your team still eat. I think his frustration is like, and this was Nip's frustration too, up until Atlantic came, which I don't know if Atlantic, and this is no discredit to Nip or Sam or Adam or none of that team, but I don't know if that happens without the $100 mixtape and that viral moment. I think LaRussell's point is like, where the fuck is my 17 million so I can go try my thing out so that a bigger company can steal it? My shit's getting stolen and I didn't even get a chance to get the funding to really even go build out my 5,000 person venue or my 10,000 person venue in Atlanta or my 2,500 person venue, 1,500 person venue in Atlanta. Like, he hasn't even gotten the opportunity to fail yet. And I think when I read his tweet, and I'm putting a lot of nuance on some shit, but when I read it, to me, that was the frustration that I felt.
And I think it's like about who you're targeting. And I think that's the thing that we get kind of circle around the point a lot is like, who is the audience and like the whole culture versus business thing. And I think like that's one of my biggest frustrations in tech circles is because it's like, okay, not talking about Doji, another platform. Great, you can have a platform that's rooted in culture, but if quote unquote culture people aren't using it, like I'm like, who cares? It's not going to scale. And I think there's platforms that you kind of have to have the non-culture leaning people to be using it and to get those daily active users because they're not going to shop on Essence. They're not going to go to certain stores. They're going to have to use your app to know about, fashion and tech. But those people might be 2 degrees away from VCs. They're 2 degree ways from all these other things. And I think if your community, I'm definitely not going to say LaRussell because literally where is he based?
Right.
But if your community is still like 70% culture people and it doesn't have that balance, you can be doing these amazing things. But unfortunately, not enough people are going to see you and think of the idea like, hey, like, let's help you go in the direction of a tech business, Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about it is, like, with that saying being said, you only need one person to take your idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I say maybe your community is 70% culture, if one person steps a foot in both worlds, they can run off of it. But I still think that point still stands. And I'm always going to be an advocate of like, get out of your comfort zone, back to our networking, put yourself in spaces you're uncomfortable. That's why I'm going to speak at a Princeton and people really don't understand my point of view. I've literally been at like culture conferences And I talked to someone who's like, I don't know who Megan Thee Stallion is. I don't know who Doja Cat is. And I have to still explain my point so you can get it.
Yeah.
And I think LaRussell has done that. And I think he's going to continue to do that. And for anyone listening, I think it's just like, continue to put yourself out there because I have so much faith in him. So like, yes, you're going to get burned. I got burned. You've been burned. You know, hopefully the next time with the same idea or something else, that multi-million-dollar opportunity is going to come. You know, because like I'm saying, like
no, it's a bar. You're right.
Because think about it, all of us who've done something, we have been burned several times. You know, this is why I'm building what I'm building. Like we need to find ways to close that loop, but what we just keep on moving because the thing is like our brilliance like inspires people. I literally read an article about culture vultures and tastemakers. I'm going to send it to you about that. The future is very much that there's people who can look at something on the algorithm and become a thought leader on it. You know what I mean? And that's the future we have to be aware of.
Right.
So we have to like speak the name of the room of people like LaRussell, talk about Pergola, talk about what he's doing for Even, talk about, you know, the deal he's doing with Empire and try to support him directly if we can. But also kind of find ways of like, okay, what gaps still exist in our careers, other people's careers that we can kind of figure out and close that this is why things are not going in someone's the way it should be going.
Right. I'm Donnie Slater. This is Melanie. This was the Work Podcast, Wolf on the Boards. And this was like episode 7 or 6 or 8. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And stay tuned in.